G'day everyone, welcome to my channel. I was going to sit down and start colouring this, and I thought I may as well bring you along for a bit of a colour along with it. So I'm doing this image from Denise Collette's Gnomes in the Neighbourhood, and I'm going to use the Derwent Graphitints because I haven't used them in a long time. So first colour I'm using is Warm Grey 19, and I've got it on a board, and I'm going to use that as the background colour in the back of the recess of the what's it called, bookshelf. You know, words are hard. So I've got a bunch of water brushes here. I'm just finding one that I think will work, and I'm going to work with that. So I'm just going to activate the pigment and hopefully not stuff it up too much. I should put a piece of paper behind. So yeah, so I'm just doing this just so I've got that base layer at the back. I'm not too worried about it being perfect because it will be like recesses into the shadow. I want to give it that idea that this is all in shadow. But I'm just going to go along and colour this. It's actually 5 a.m. in the morning for me. So I'm kind of not in a super chatty mood, which is why I've got the music playing in the background so that when I go into the quiet modes, you're not left with just emptiness. You've got some little bit of white noise to follow in the background. But I'm going to continue on doing this. Picked this page because I love books. I love the libraries. I love the smell of old books. There's something about them that are just, the older the book, the better. Brings me joy. So Casper, that was Casper Sai. He's not happy with the lights on and me humaning at this time in the morning. He's like, but it's still sleepy time. But yeah, Georgia is reading an old, the David Eddings Belgariad series at the moment. And my books are that old that the pages are falling out of them and all of that. So I'm like, oh, I think I'm going to have to cave and buy a newer set of the books. I'm not getting rid of the old set, however, because there's something about reading from a book that's yellowed and crinkly because it's so old and all of those kind of things. But yeah, so I'm a bit excited that I finally convinced her to read the Belgariad series. Like, that was what I started my fantasy journals reading on. I remember getting them from my brother's room when I was about George's age, about 11, 12, and I just loved reading it. I loved reading about Garion and Pole and Old Wolf, Belgareth. Georgia comes out the other day and she's like, why haven't they made this into a series? And I'm like a TV series. And I said, I know. I wonder the same thing. That and Vice Magician Saga. I'm like, the Rift War sagas. Oh, both would totally be great TV series. So the water brushes I'm using are from Montmart. They come in a set of 3, fine, medium and broad. I think I'm using one of the fine ones at the moment. They have flat tip and round tip versions. They're just easy for me to come by here in Australia, so I can just go down to the shop and buy these. So that's why I use these ones. What was the first books that you ever read? It was kind of funny. I had, yeah, those kind of books from my brother's room, and then the good old Danielle Steele books from my mother. So that was an interesting mix when I was growing up. And then I like my favourite childhood books are the Golden Books. I loved them growing up, and Eden Blyton and the Faraway Tree. They were definitely a big part of my earlier reading books. But I remember because I learnt to read fairly early and fairly quickly, so I'd be in class um, in like grade 1, and everyone would be reading like their learn to reader books, and I was up on the back on a beanbag cushion thing, reading like little kids novels. So I've always just been, and it's one of those things, I've lost the habit of reading, and I need to get back into that. I don't know when's the last time I've just sat down and lost a day due to reading. So down here, oh wait, I'll do this bit first. So this bit I'm going to wash out a little bit more, and then also not bring it all the way in because there's going to be a glow from the lamp. So I'm going to try and wash it out and just leave a little bit of a area that I can bring back a glow with later on. Same over here. Doing all these little fine details. Should I go down to a smaller brush? Yes. Am I going to? No, because that's effort. It's the general rule of it, isn't it? It's like, do I really want to make the effort of changing over a brush? No. And it's just pure, you know, they're all ready for me, but I'm like, it's in my hand. It'll do. So this page should end up with a very kind of like vintage soft feel using the Graphitints, which I thought kind of worked for like the idea of an old library kind of vibe. Okay, so what I'm going to do is get out the Midnight Black now. And I'm going to use this to put in areas that would even be more in shadow, so underneath the shelf. Underneath these books that are, I don't know why I did that, I'll cover that up later. Underneath these books that are bent over, they'll all be casting a shadow. So I'm just kind of, I don't have anything really on my brush, I'm just using it, whatever's left, to kind of soften those shadow lines. So I don't want it to look like a straight line right across. Now behind this ladder would be dark as well, because it would also be casting extra shadow. Alright, so I'll pause the video here, and I'm going to go repeat this for the rest of the background, of the back of the bookcase, and then I will be back, and we'll go on to the next part. Okay, so back, and I've done the background shadowing part, and now I'm going to come in with number 14 russet, and I'm going to basically do a like base layer for all of the wood, and then I'm going to use that russet again to go over this grey. So the grey will already be down, which is going to provide that like tone to put it into shadow, but it is a wooden bookcase, so I still want it to have that brown. Actually, I'm thinking now I might not use the russet in the back. We might use the dark colour that I'm going to use for um, details. So we'll see what happens, but I've got the russet, and I'm actually going to pick a bigger brush, save myself a bit of time. So going to come in and put some water down. We've got that russet, and I'm just going to go along all of the water areas. Just making sure that I've got that backing piece of paper there to catch any of my mess as I go over the page, because I will. And also means that I don't have to quite be so careful. So I'm lucky enough downstairs that I've got an entry kind of room to like my little guest area, and that's where I have all of my books. So I've got quite a number of bookcases down there. I've got a bookcase dedicated to my fantasy books, because that's my favourite. Medieval fantasy is my favourite type of book. I've got a book dedicated to textbooks and all of those kinds of things, and workbooks and stuff like that. I've got a bookcase dedicated to cookbooks and cooking magazines and self-help things, and all of those kinds of things that we collect over the years. And then I have another bookcase that houses a older set of encyclopedias that I literally just bought because they looked pretty. Because my old house had I had an older style house, and it had a full wall of built-in bookcases in the living dining area, and it just seemed, if you're going to have books on display, it's nice to have some pretty books too. So I remember growing up that we had a full set of encyclopedias, and I always liked the look of them, so I found a cheap set of someone selling an entire set of encyclopedias, so I've got that. Every time I move, I sit there and go, why do I have these books? Because obviously the information in most of them is outdated, and we all use Google now anyway. But they look pretty, and I've got in that too. I've got the complete works of Shakespeare and stuff like that. So that's just my pretty bookshelf. um, And everyone goes, have you read all of those books? And surprisingly, I have. All of the books that I have in my bookcase, I have read at some point. And each time I move, I get rid of books. I don't throw them away. I donate them. That I think, oh, I don't need to keep these kind of ones. But there's certain ones that just stay in my collection. And I've got up on the wall, I've got a map from when I went to Hobbiton in New Zealand. So I've got a map of New Zealand with all of the locations of the different things that they filmed, different parts of the Lord of the Rings trilogy and Hobbit. That. And it's all vintage style, so I love having that hanging up on the wall as well. But yeah, it's a nice little area down there. Do I go down there? No. Should I? Yes. It even has a chair in there. There's a chair in there and a story to tell. All the Aussies will now be singing the rest of that song. Need a little bit more of this russet on my palette. Get my big Harry Potter arm out of the way. It's a bit cold here this morning. I think we're having our last little cold snap before spring starts. And I'm still in my, pajamas doing this. It's the beauty of this. I don't have to worry about what I look like behind the camera. It's like, yep, you just get to see my hands and and hear my voice, which I think is enough. You'll have to tell me if you like this kind of real-time thing that I'm doing. I'm just trying to think about what kind of videos you might like to see. Obviously, this isn't so much as a chatty video, as more of a just watching me what I'm doing. As much as I like to talk, I can't I can't keep a conversation going for that long. It's like, yeah. And most of the time, when I'm colouring like this, I like to zone out too. So it's just more of just bringing you along for what I would be doing in my quiet time, but just filming it so that you can watch it if you want to. That was kind of what I thought might be something you might like to see. Because I don't film everything I colour. Because a lot of it, as we all do, colouring for a lot of us is just something that lets us just get into that moment and enjoy the process. beauty of these books being one-sided is that I don't have to worry about if I get anything on this page. It's not going to impact any other image. Okay, so we've got that. So what I'm going to come in now with is cool brown. So I'm going to put that onto my palette. And I'm going to come back in with a finer brush now. And I'm going to start doing some detail works, just to give some, you know, points of contrast and difference to the wood. So I'm not being too specific about this. I just want it to look like the wood has some dark and high spots. Oh, wrong one. That's alright. That was a bit of black. I'll just darken it a little bit. Won't make much of a difference. I've got a brush in my mouth if you're wondering why I sounded all mumbly there. So when I do the books later, I will colour straight onto the image, but I just find using bigger areas like this, it's easier to put it onto the palette and bring it across. And I'm not trying to be specific about like where my placements and all are, so that makes it a little bit easier too. Okay, so we've got that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my bigger brush and I'm going to put a whole lot of this cool brown down, and I'm going to use that to go over the areas that we've got in the background with the grey. I will show you what I'm doing on one of the bookshelves, and then I'll go off and do the rest in the I'll pause it and do the rest. But what this will do is it'll bring that, it will tone that brown and make it more of a shadow, but will still indicate that we're in a bookcase, that we've got a wooden bookshelf there. So that's what I'm doing with that, and I'll go off and do the other 3 shelves, and then I will come back to you. Okay, so we're going to start on some of these books, and I'm going to show you the process that I'm going to do, and it's just going to be a bunch of different colours that I'm going to use to do it. So the first one I'm coming in with is Port, and I'm going to colour along the edges, except for I don't want it there. I think the battery's going flat. My eraser. I'm going to colour along the edge of the book, go a little bit heavier out towards the side. Bring that a bit lighter in towards the centre. Then I'm going to take some of that Midnight Black. I'm just going to run it along the edge. So we're trying to give that curved appearance of our book. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the colour that I've been using, and if you take it from the tip of the pencil, I'm going to just wet my brush so I've taken it off the page so it doesn't drip. If you go straight on to the tip of the pencil, sorry, I'm out of frame. If you go straight on to the tip of the pencil, it actually doesn't pick up as much as the graphite. So it brings out more of that colour than being, I guess, toned by the graphite itself. So I'm going to use that in the center, and then I will come out and activate out towards the edge. And we should get, well, you know, fingers crossed. I don't know, I'm just trying this. We should get a darker outer edge that's a little bit less bright, and a brighter inner edge of our book spine. Just going to come in with a little bit more of that colour because I basically, this is the first time I tried it, so, you know, with practice. Just taking it like that. Where's my face washer? We've got that, and then I'm going to go in with might go in with juniper, and I'm going to do the same thing. Picking up off the tip of the pencil. Okay. And then we might use a bit of ivy, and I'm not going to use, I'm just going to take it straight from the tip because I don't want it to be shaded by the graphite. And there we go. Alright, let's pick up another colour. Let's go with steel blue. Okay, the same thing. Run it down the sides. The black right at the edge. And then, where'd I put my brush? Yep. I just had it. Did you see where I put it? No. Okay. Oh, don't judge me. It was in my hand all along. Yeah, no. That's that giving you an idea. Okay, so I got to go in straight off the tip. And then out to the sides. Alright, we'll come in with let's go ocean blue. So I'm going to go off, and do all the books in the same kind of process, and then I will come back to you.